Next on our agenda, I had slotted some time to be talking about the Parents' Rights Coalition of Canada and who we are. And I'm going to share my screen and just take you a little bit with more along that direction. But I want to be brief because we have a couple of great parent panelists, people who have been engaged in their communities in some capacity, raising awareness, making this issue a forefront issue in their communities. And we want to hear a little bit from about the strategic steps that they've taken in the last year or so to move this issue forward. So bear with me one second. I'm going to talk a little bit about strategy. And this is we got this data last year. This is Angus Reid polling. And when I came to this issue a couple of years ago, because my daughter, by all markers, seems to have been socially transitioned at school, she was encouraged in the idea that I am the oppressor, and I fit the criteria of the cis het white male. And so in my daughter's education, she and social media, I assume, came to believe that I am her enemy, which is not an uncommon experience, unfortunately, for families like mine. I've been alienated from my child for going on effectively 2.5, 3 years. And this is not an isolated experience. If I could say anything to my daughter, I love you more than anything in the world, and I would do anything for you, except for lie. So we're getting a lot of public data that seems to confirm what parents' concerns are. Those were big moments last year. The Angus Reid polling: 78% of parents are against schools keeping secrets. What I'm sharing with you at the moment is an original dashboard from a project I undertook starting in late 2021. We really set it underway in September of 2022. It's an artificial intelligence tool that uses natural language analysis on various social media platforms to understand what the conversation is around certain topics online. This was built by a company. They've had documentaries made about them. Their original purpose was a public sentiment analysis using online proxies, Twitter, Reddit, some other social media platforms, and publicly available data to create proxies for traditional polling methods. And the success of traditional polling methods over the last couple of years has been decreasing, and less people have reliable phone home lines, and it's sampling an audience is harder and harder to do. And the actual creation of a sample and engaging somebody by asking them questions can actually build in some biases. This tool, we have had access to both US and Canada data about things like gender dysphoria. And we were looking, if you recall, I asked Peter Sim to bring us back to the Trans Youth Can data about the number of children presenting with gender dysphoria. And we were looking for signs of influence, for signs of social contagion in the media space. Now, I have a couple snapshots here, and I did screen grabs instead of interactives because the branding of the company that has created this tool would rather not be associated with such a contentious issue. The tool, however, original tool, gave us the ability to drill down state by state, province by province, around the idea of gender nonconformity, gender incongruence, and dysphoria. And we track the evolution of language, and we can see that the usage of language over time from that 12, 14, 15 period just absolutely exploded over the last several years. Now, when we have a heat map here in the US map, one of the things that came back from our board of advisors was, because it seemed like the blue states had a much higher prevalence of the conversation than red states. And one of the people suggested that, well, maybe we look at when the comprehensive sexuality and gender education came in those places. And that's effectively what I've spent my time on for in terms of policy analysis for the last year and a bit. Now, as we all know, artificial intelligence is rapidly evolving and changing, and where we were paying $6,000 plus a month US for the team to put together those charts and graphs and those dashboards for us a couple of years ago, it has become a much more accessible tool that gives us public opinion data in minutes on specific questions, rather than pose a question and then wait 3 or 4 weeks for the team to be able to put together a set of answers for us. So a question I asked this tool recently: what do you think about parental rights in education? And on the left-hand side of the screen here, you can see school policies, transgender, school safety, LGBTQ. And it tells us around the question of parental rights in education, how the conversation breaks down. And this is important because it gives us, as Bruce was saying, there's moral suasion and then there's strategic thinking. This gives us the contours of the online public sentiment and conversation. And we can see, as we look at it, the nuances of the conversation. We can see what's working and we can see what's not. And consistent with what Bruce was sharing with us, so we have here a 1-year period, October 18, 2022 to October 18, 2023. There were 460,000 engagements. That's conversations, that's posts, it's responses, and comments on that issue with the constellation of language related to it. And we can see how the conversation breaks down. 34% of the conversation around that was, I believe, parents' rights are important. And we could see that smaller numbers, 2.9% here, I think parental rights in education should be limited. And that's consistent with the polling by Angus Reid. Okay, we can see, again, same topic of parental rights. We can see how here at approximately September 2023, that was approaching the million marches, how this conversation really, really spiked online, in media, and in the public, and also in June of 2023. This tells us that our collective actions are getting attention, they're working and building momentum. We can also tell who the people who are interested in this are with an age breakdown of users. The issue of parental rights is really, relative to the number of users online, a low priority. But when we get into the Generation X cohort, the parents of kids and over 65 cohort, we can see that there's a disproportionate amount of interest and concern around the issue. This tool gives us kind of the samples of the various conversations. And I'm gonna stop sharing on this now because I want to transition to our panel. What I do want to say is this is a tool that we have at our disposal, rather than $6,000 or $7,000 a month, having to fundraise at that level. It's a subscription model that's in the $1,000 plus taxes range. It can give us the ability to develop strategic public communications that we know is going to be more palatable. And we can also identify problems in our arguments, and we can understand through message testing how we can overcome entrenched beliefs about this online as well.